Attention, all proud Psych Ward residents. It's me, your boy. Hello. A few years ago now, I announced that I'd start a series in the hype up for a little game that came out on this day, 3 years ago, called Monster Hunter Rise. And this was my gateway into, let's be real, you're not here for an actual explanation of Monster Hunter. And if you are, what the hell's wrong with you? There are like 18 different people that can do that far better than me. However, there is one thing that I don't think anyone's capitalized on yet. You see, I forgot about this series. I will happily admit that. It's a running theme with this channel. However, this is actually going to be used to my advantage. You see, having left this little series of videos alone for this long has granted me an extra special skill called hindsight. Meaning that, in theory, I should know a lot more than you now. Depending on the audience, that is. So, I think now, 3 years later, would be a very fun time to pick it back up and start off where we left off. Does that make any sense? My English is terrible. But that's not important. What is important is this question. So, what do you actually fight in Monster Hunter? Well, starting off with some cute little herbivores, Apsaros, Kelby, Popo, and Enteka. These are cannon fodder. Please make no mistake. This is designed to be skinned. And nothing more. But we're not including Aptonoff on that list. Although I'd very much understand why you would think so. But, you see, the fact of the mattress is, it's all shits and giggles until the Parasaurolophus starts breathing fire. This innocent-looking piggy is actually the OG invader. All others will tremble in its presence. I don't know about you, but I've always, thought about ripping off their heads and using them as boomerangs. Am I the only one who's thought of that? Am I just insane? Don't answer that. Feline and Malinx go out of their way to prove that while you can take the cat off the street, you can never take the street out of the cat. I'm sorry, was that one already taken? Who cares? I mean, they've already stolen the dislike button, no one will ever know. Stupid little bugs that just fly around. Why? I just don't get it. Why couldn't you stay still? Oh, I killed it. What do you mean nothing dropped? Let me give you a good tip about fighting moss swines. Fucking don't. I can remember people being unironically excited when they saw snippets of the Velociprey armor in the Sunbreak trailers. That's right. People were actually excited for these bottom barrel raptor ripoffs, and honestly, I can't blame them. They're pretty cool. These guys have some pretty cool heads. That's my entire input on them. Now, yes, they have paralysis, however, you cannot deny they're pretty cool, nonetheless. Did that rock just speak Vietnamese? Why do these monsters have the sleep element? God fucking why? Alright, now I know we both said some things that we didn't mean, but yeah, I'll admit it. I struggled the first time round, but name someone who didn't. This is the GOAT. With that in mind, can we have him back already? Because this is pretty good too. Literally, the horniest girl out here. Admittedly, I was going to prepare a joke of similar nature here, but then I remembered this monster's a mutual of mine on Twitter. I wonder how they're doing. Hey, it's already dead. Good job. Now think fast, Shuckle Nuts. Now, I know what you're thinking. This guy's pretty silly. This guy isn't, though. And before anyone starts asking me, I know what you're thinking, but normal young Garaga actually didn't come out for another 3 games. Okay? Like, he came out 3 games after this. I am just as confused as you. We did not get along at first. But that's fine. I got over that, I think. The FitnessGram Pacer test is a multi-stage aerobic capacity test that progressively gets more difficult as it continues. The 20-meter pacer test will begin in 30 seconds. Line up at the start. The running speed starts slowly, but gets faster each minute after you hear this signal. A single lap should be completed each time you hear this sound. Remember to run in a straight line and run as long as possible. The second time you fail to complete a lap before the sound, your test is over. The test will begin on the word start. On your mark. Get ready. Start. You think I'm gonna take the piss out of the man, the myth, the king of the sky? Well, maybe not king of the skies, but then again, how many other monsters made it into Smash as both a boss and an assist trophy? Exactly. Make no mistake, this is not a Wyvern. It's a GTA 5 jet. Not because it's particularly fast or difficult to maneuver most of the time, but because it spends most of its lifespan in the air, and the only time it really comes down is crashing, burning. Now, I like the Silver Rathalos and Gold Rathian, or the Metals as they are known, not just because they are actually somewhat more than just reskins, unlike a certain pair, but because of their mechanic that makes it so physically punching them in the throat isn't just necessary, it's fucking mandatory. Okay, so now we're gonna move on to the big boys, known as the Elder Dragons, introduced in the first generation, with a clear mind, knowing I didn't miss anything at all from Gen 1. Well, I thought it'd be too obvious to make a dick joke, so I'll admit, I left him out. But I think we both know full well there is nothing left. I'm just gonna go cry, don't mind me. The first Elder Dragon is... I don't think I'm on the right page. How is this considered an Elder Dragon? Oh. Oh. Now I know what you're thinking. Big looking kaiju monster. Must be cool, right? In theory. Yeah. In practice, I think I might just jump off a bridge. There is no longer any thought behind it. I'm just going to jump off a bridge. If there was ever a king for Monster Hunter, it would be Fatalis. Its name mentioned purely in myth and legend. A few years ago, when it was sicked on the Fivers, it took a full day for it to go down. That's right, a full 24 hours passed before a single hunter out of 122,000 could muster the strength to wear it. Good God. Oh, Crimson Fatalis exists too. Believe me, I know it looks terrifying. Mostly because it is. Generation 2 introduced funny monkeys to the series, called Blango slash Blangonga, and Conga, yes, Conga, slash Congalala. One of them lives in the snow, and the other farts on you. I can't make this up if I tried. We were also treated with scientifically accurate giant enemy crabs, split into two gangs, known as the Hermitars, led by the Daimyo, and the Senators, led by the Shogun. One species does cool crab things, and the other one steals the skulls of its past victims and wears them. Also, they pee on you. It literally, with this, I might add. What? What and why? Oh, there is definitely a reason we can't have crabs in stories. Okay, think of the Great Thunderbug as a random object in the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. They're a surprise tool that'll come in handy later. Remobra act as the physical definition of mild annoyance to you and every life form around them. Oh yeah, these guys were also added to adapt to the cold, which, you know, is pretty cool. These guys exist in case you didn't think there was enough gang warfare in this series. Don't get me wrong, I would talk mad shit about this Pumba-looking ass. But I unironically fell in love with one during my Stories 2 playthrough, so, you know what? I'll spare them. Well, not spare them, necessarily. Ilavasoth is unfortunately a lot like its cousins, but not quite as screwed, while Hypnocatrice is an ostrich dreaming to be an anesthesiologist. What do they have in common? Nothing, obviously. But they both were originally from another game called Monster Hunter Frontier, a Monster Hunter MMO that ended up being very big, very popular, and it died. But hey, we got these guys from them, so that's cool. Young Garaga is the slightly less derpy version of Young Kutku. That being said, I also fell in love with one in my Stories 2 playthrough, proving that less derp does not mean it's any less lovable. I'm Mr. Green Christmas, I'm Mr. Sun. I'm Mr. White Christmas, I'm high on Destruction Incarnate, the harbinger of the seventh circle of hell. Korn's Pitbull. Ooga Booga. The Admiral. Rape Ape. DK. Donkey Kong. These are just some of the names given to the sin against God known as Rajang. They live everywhere. They fear nothing. And they will show you true pain. This asshole is the Furious Rajang. What's the difference? Is it the glowing fur? No, they do that anyway. I'll give you a hint. They don't have any tails. Meaning, you can't calm them down. This Great Ape Super Simian looking ass will blast you into next gen. And he will enjoy it. Because in the words of a good man, there are no words in the chimpanzee alphabet that spell out the words consent form. Tigrex is easy enough to understand. He run, he throw rock, he scream, and scream far too loud. But believe it or not, I slightly despised this rectangle-headed Mongo Bongoloid at the start of my career. But don't worry, I think as time went on, we realized it was all just a big misunderstanding. Now I simply tolerate him instead. Nagakuga, or as I like to call it, Ninja's Cat, is a speedy boy, known for knocking people on their ass, stunning, and bleeding them to death. Like most cats, they are sadistic and have an interesting relationship with bright lights, as well as not wanting to use the cool cat bed you bought them. They're also special because whenever you show people this image, hunters magically start crying. This is the daddy longlegs that shows up in people's minds when you say the words daddy longlegs. Except it's not. It can't be. Because it's a crab. Also, 10 brownie points if you actually remembered this thing existed. He might be an elder dragon, but don't worry. He's just a little bit silly is all. Kushala Dora, or simply Kush Kush, is the first elder dragon to be a flagship. And he's quite keen for everyone to be aware, because if not, well, you'll quickly realize you're on his property, and will soon have to start paying taxes in the form of the ground beneath your feet. Kushala Dora's armor is typically the only one that negates wind, but even that's a little bit of a stretch, to be honest. Hey. Hey. Did you know that Kushala Dora molt? Well, congrats, you do now. This is how it looks before it sheds its skin into the sleek silver color that everyone totally loves. A very cool elder dragon that's, yeah, it's more of a manticore, but still perfectly petable all the same. In fact, if anything, I'd say it gives it extra points. I know my baby is the one for me, 1,000,000 times harder than TNT. Okay, raise your hand if you actually remember this flying pile of sentient moss. I didn't think so. Moving on. If normal Fatalis is a king, white Fatalis is God. This thing spawns out of an eclipse. Well, it doesn't spawn out of the eclipse, but we don't really know that because in terms of lore, we basically don't have any. All we know is, it appears, there is an eclipse, and it just rains lightning down upon you. And just listen to this. Listen, if you fight this thing, you will get 50 shades of fucked up. I'm sorry. If you value your life, just don't bother. I can't quite explain it, but I find them oddly cute. I don't know why. If there is a status I hate more than poison, you can bet your left lung it's sleep. But you don't have to, because Baggy are quite the generous donators. Bahab... Benarb... No. Barb... Benahaba... No, there's another. These things, they suck. They fucking suck. Have you ever gotten so utterly frustrated with something, you wanted to pick up your chair and smash it into your table repeatedly until they both become nothing but a collective of scraps of wood on the floor? Proceed to light it on fire. Immediately call up your home insurance provider, stage the entire thing as an accident, get the money, and then spend it all getting a new set of table and chairs to replace the old ones. Then place them gently into a wood chipper, scoop up whatever's left, and then cast them off a bridge. Strategically onto the freeway and watch the chaos unfold from the safety of your foldable camping chair with your phone in one hand recording the pandemonium to send to Twitter. The caption, "Just wrapped up filming my amateur remake of Final Destination 2. Because you are deeply insecure about your own image, not really because you're particularly worried about how others perceive you, but because you don't really know how to perceive yourself. Constantly using humor as a coping mechanism when deep down, you've just been winging it for the last few years, not really knowing anything about what drives you as a human being, or even what makes you human in the first place. But hey, as long as you're good at something, you might as well stick with it, am I right?" And a flask of tea in the other. It's a bit milky, but you wouldn't have it any other way. Now, please, imagine this story. But instead, we replace the words tables and chairs with delics. So, we heard you enjoy Kezu. Well, guess what? Here's Kezu again, but somehow more disturbing. It has the chestburster-like reproductive cycle. Yes, I know that Kezu also has this, but in this case, we actually get to see little Gigi Bubbies. And the hitboxes for the head and tail swap when it becomes enraged, which is the only time I believe I've ever seen a monster do that, to my knowledge. So yeah, cave wyverns are screwed up. Jaggy are the chattest bird wyverns you'll ever meet. They're immune to all forms of disease. They are purple, which automatically marks their ascension to godhood. And they are so strong that in recent years, Capcom has been afraid to unleash the Great Jaggy in the event that it might gain sentience and hunt down its human oppressors, wearing their skin as a sick form of self-gratification. Renoplos are a nice blend of cute and cool, and I always make sure to restrain my homicidal impulses around them, as a sign of respect. These guys are badass. The Oroctors are just little magma worms, while Agnactor is a giant laser turret that covers itself in molten rock to wear as armor. It's so cool, and not having it in 5th gen was such a missed opportunity that I hope, to God, will be corrected in Wilds. Not to be confused with Barroth, Barioth are the blend of Nagakuga and Saber-Tooth Tiger, and admittedly, my first wall in Rise. A very fun lesson as to how to deal with hip check spammers indeed. Also, it has a subspecies that lives in the desert. Not to be confused with Barioth, Barroth are like medium-sized theropods that bathe in mud, like hippos. Not typically as dangerous as a hippo, mind, but at lower hunter ranks, it is capable of hitting you like a freight train. Which, funnily enough, is its whole thing. Also, they have a subspecies that lives in the snow. Uragon are large theropods with very bumpy backs, which allow them to curl up in a ball and roll away from you. As well as, launching fiery rocks to blow you up and, gassing you to sleep if it feels like it. Now, despite this cool description, Uragon flopped hard in the recent popularity contest, with its subspecies, the Steel Uragon, coming in at dead fucking last. Well, it had to happen to someone, I guess. Duramboros took one look at Hammermanes and thought, sure, why not? Why is there a Tigrex? Oh! Arzuros is also just a silly little guy, really. He just wants to munch on fish, eat honey, and rave around the cool tree like any other self-respecting bear that I'm sure has no relation to any certain member of the bear family at all.
He be rootin', he be tootin', but most importantly, he be shootin' pure, concentrated lean at anything it sees.
I adore these guys. Look at them. They're so gosh darn cute. And when you sneak up behind to scare the shit out of them, they poop out little legs. That's just adorable. Come on. It has a derpy capybara face and a funny name to boot. Slaggoth. Kurpeko and its crimson cousin are totally docile and totally chill birds that could never do anything wrong. I mean, just listen to them sing.
Is it hare or is it bear? It is neither.
It's just a cutie patootie. I mean, its main mode of transportation is sliding on its belly, like across the snow. How could it not be? They suck. And no, that's not me being mean. They literally suck. Volvodon is a weird one. Okay, bear with me here. So, they're armadillos, which on their own aren't that strange. But they have super long tongues. Again, on its own, not all that weird. I'm pretty sure they have those in real life. So overall, pretty standard armadillo behavior. I love them. But paralyzing spit is... I don't think that really fits the list, do you? No, I didn't think so either, but then to top it all off, their secret weapon is... farting. They're another farter. Are you kidding me? What the fuck? Meet Devil Joe, the giant walking pickle of destruction. They eat anything. They'll eat your bed, they'll eat your sofa, they'll eat your fridge, they'll eat your other dog, they'll eat your child, and they'll eat you. Hell, given the chance, they'll probably eat their own severed tails. They live everywhere. They fear nothing. Hold on. Have I done this before? Yes, Devil Joe act as the fierce rival to the previous invader, Rajang. They are the Godzilla to Rajang's King Kong, but I'd say the difference is more comparable to like sharks and dolphins. Bear with me here. So Devil Joe just kinda explore the world by establishing if something is food, and whether it's dangerous to eat or not. It's just by chance it's not come across anything it doesn't like yet. While Rajang has more than 2 functioning brain cells. They're in full control of their actions, they know what they do is sick and twisted, but not once will you ever see them regret it. It's an orc that looks like a banana. It's an orc that looks like... nothing, apparently. So, remember that surprise tool I mentioned earlier? Well, this is Zenoga, the, as of right now, most popular monster in the French fries. They share a symbiotic relationship with Thunderbugs where they get protection, and in return, he gets to rain lightning down upon his foes like Zeus's little good boy. Now, Zenoga is a flagship, so it has an obligatory subspecies, called the Stygian Zenoga, where we more or less take everything I just said about the normal Thunder Puppy and make it about 4 times edgier. Brachydios is another flagship for Gen 3. Its purpose is simple. You see this goo? It throws as much goo around as it possibly can, and laughs as you try to navigate the newfound minefield it just made. Now, I say minefield because after a while, it blows up. Truly, ultimate nut nobility. Before you ask, yes, you did just see that. And yes, you should be afraid. Another Elder Dragon that conceptually is very cool, but on this occasion actually is. I didn't really think this was a 3rd gen dragon because, well, I first saw him in 4U. Unless I got that horrendously wrong. But hey, the message is the same. We love our sandy narwhals. Amatsu Magatsuchi, or Amatsu to the mentally stable, is less of an elder dragon and more of a force of nature. Oh, did you live here? Too bad. Oh, did you have an entire kingdom established here? Too bad.
What's the matter, little girl?
Aw, did you just find out that you're an orphan? Yep, I know. I was there. While Kushala Daora had literal cults, Amatsu can't afford such luxuries because that would include providing territory where people aren't scared of paying the ground tax. Amatsu is simply built different. And if you disagree, then congratulations. You just joined the Hunters Guild's space program. Now, I know that was a lot to handle. But don't worry. This next entry is much worse. Have you ever thought about what it'd be like to fight the physical reincarnation of Oppenheimer's original atom bomb? Well, do we have news for you? Meet Alatrion, a being with such a tremendous shitload of pure destructive power that over the years the Hunters Guild thought the concept of such a dragon to be so unrealistic that they burnt all the records they had of it and denied its very existence. Something that I'm pretty sure that some fighters are still doing today, as they probably haven't forgiven Capcom even after all these years for dropping the second nuke on them, but to be honest, that might just be their fault for setting up shop within 500 kilometers of Alatrion. Okay kids, I hope you all managed to get your parents to sign the permission slips I gave you all last week, because they're about to come in handy. To wrap up our tour of Gen 3, I've organised a special trip to dive down and see all of the underwater monsters! I was expecting more of an applause, but that's fine by me. But, okay, listen, I have to be real with you all. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. This would be much cheaper for me and the school if we just took you to a museum to do this, okay? Because most of these fights died with underwater combat. But that's not going to stop us from having our fun. I got us these suits, these goggles, these clips. Pass these to the TA, she'll forget otherwise. We got armbands, because I know there's a couple pussies in the room. There's this woggle. Now, we do have to be careful with the woggles. We are allowed to use them, but at a price. You see, the last person who booked the woggles tried shoving them up his ass. It apparently was not pretty. So, you are allowed to use them, but you have to use them properly. Seahorse position is allowed, but I have to be watching you like a hawk if you do that. So it's probably for the best if you don't. Okay? Now, is there anything I'm forgetting? Oxygen tank? What the fuck are you going to need that for? That's just going to weigh you down. Oh my god, really? You're scared of that? Okay, listen. Listen. We're all in our 20s now. I'm only calling you kids because I legally have to remind you that I am the teacher here. Okay? And I did not get this job to be sassed around by a bunch of proverbial kids. Okay, if you can't stay underwater for 2 minutes and 30 seconds, then quite frankly, you should not have made it this far in life. And we're about to prove that right now. Okay class, this is the Epioth. I had no clue these things existed until now. But goddamn I wish I did, because they look so cute. Now, I would love to say something cool about the Ludroth. Really, I do. But I'm sorry, this has to be done. Oh, lives in a pineapple under the sea! This is the Lagiacrus, the ultimate underwater flagship. No, I'm not just saying it's the ultimate underwater flagship because it's the only underwater flagship. Shut the fuck up, Marcus! Anyway. They walk and they swim. They're just like crocodiles, except they also harness electricity. It is so badass that it got second place on the 20th anniversary popularity contest, which, you know, after it got shafted, being cut from Gen 5, is honestly deserved. Now, I hope you will join me in prayer in the hopes that he gets all the justice he deserves in Wilds. The Abyssal is if Laggy never came out of the sea, which unfortunately means we have never seen him past 3rd gen. And for all the stinky little landlubbers whose parents didn't love you enough to sign the permission form, this is the Ivory Lagiacrus. This is Lagiacrus if he never went into the sea. Meaning, we have seen him past 3rd gen. Also, if any of you know what's good for you, you will not look this fucker up on Twitter. Okay? If you know,
Then you know.
Oh, a brilliant find, class. This is the Cetus, a beautiful elder dragon, and one of the very few monsters you don't just outright murder. You actually help it by getting rid of its horn, which has been bothering it for some time. It's a really cool monster that goes the extra step to prove that us hunters are simply protectors of the ecosystem, instead of the mindless killers in pursuit of fashion that everyone else thinks we are. Not that you can really blame them, of course, because, you know, underwater combat. This monster's basically dead, you know. Now, the final tragic fight that we left behind is Dire Moralis, the walking/swimming apocalypse, raining magma wherever it trod. A monster that deserves so much respect for blending both land and sea combat into one last gorgeous final battle. Right, class. Well done on this. Making sure that all this is, extra credit to your grade. Oh, don't worry about the people who couldn't get their permission forms signed. They're going to be expelled soon anyway. Speaking of expelled, I'm beginning to notice a couple floaters. Not the best sign. Hopefully the TA will be able to scoop them all up soon. The TA's also passed out. Okay, well, you all just get back onto the beach. I'll take the TA back, give us some CPR, and when we're done, we can have a long chat. See you all in 4th gen. Hold on, where did Marcus go? Wherever he is, I'm sure he probably deserves it. I know I went into a lot of detail about how much I loathe Delix, but honestly, Khonshu is both better and worse at the same time. All they do is sit around and bounce off attacks, which is only annoying at most if you're in one of the very rare instances where you have to kill them.
In stories 2, however,
I hate them with the burning passion of 1,000 suns. Never have I wanted to break every rule under the Geneva Convention more than I do around this ball of agitation. The Catcher family are the old world monkey troop I accept, not purely because I love flying squirrels and all similar species, a fact to remember down the road, but because they are not Kangalala. I like Nursilla as a spider, and I know, ew, spiders, very scary, yeah, but I like Nursilla, because I can talk to my friends about them without being interrogated. More on that later. Also, it probably helps that I've sacrificed thousands of their subspecies in order to bolster my monster army. And if you're about to tell me that you haven't, I'm sorry, but you're a liar. The Celtus duo are very reminiscent of modern life. The queen is like a Twitch streamer, and the latter is the poor unfortunate 45-year-old male stuck at home abusing his dairy farm, whose only purpose in life is to give her money, and make damn sure she says his name after beating the shit out of you. Literally possessing such a parasocial relationship, they even die in sync. The concept of snake wyverns are very cool. Like, there's a lot you can do with it, which makes it a crying shame that only one of them exists. As a result, I have a deep respect for Narjala. Narjala? Is it Narjala or Narala? Narala? I never thought about this before, sorry. plus the fact they are the only monsters to have ever given me a hug. I'm sorry, this isn't a opinion or a joke, more so a how dare you tease us the entire Sunrise era, placing Tetsukabra in Komura's hub without bringing him back, when every other name-dropped monster, apart from Devil Joe, but that's fine, because he hadn't skipped any games until now, got in. How? And why? It's fine. It's fine. If you couldn't tell, I like Tetsu. Okay? Little froggy boy. This is a baby shark. Do. This is a shark. This is a big boy shark. And this is a shark with cool looking ice armor. You're probably assuming that the latter three are completely different monsters. Nope. They are the same ice shark, as well as a sand shark, but the sand shark doesn't have the armor. Named Zamtrios. But to me, he is Zamzam. And I love him, goddammit. He is truly my Monster Hunter Stories 2, Wings of Ruin. Macau are like kangaroo raptors. I would talk about them more, but... well, a high rank one triple carted me once, and, well, I don't like thinking about it. No, I already got claimed once for using this song, not again! They're certainly adorable little sheep things, aren't they? Do you reckon they taste the same? I mean, I wouldn't, but just curious. Hi. That's a cool owl. Wanna have a go fighting it? Boom, fuck you! Invert your controls. This is not a Tigrex. This is Satan. 3 times the size of a normal Tigrex, can only be fought in a tiny space. Blast Blight? Raw Spam? What is this? Surely this can't get any worse. You fuck! If you ever thought the Bracky was a little bit easy, first off, what are you? Secondly, this is Raging Brachydios, and he will be your torturer for the day. Please enjoy. Gammoth is the first of a band of monsters that make the flagship known as the Fated Four. She is massive, destructive, and hasn't seen the light of day since her debut. Please, Capcom, what is running through your head? Please, just bring her back to me. It's useless. I guess I'll just play around with this pygmy version until she finally comes back. Glavenus is the leader of the Fated Four. A certified badass and a longsword main. The bug zapper we all need in our lives, Astalos is a highly territorial monster energy drink, who will crush all who oppose him, even in death. I saved this one for last because, well, there's a lot to say. This is Mizitsune, my first Monster Hunter experience. The demo for Rise was my first day on the job being a soapy leviathan known as Mizitsune. I always had my hunting buddies Nips and Ninja with me, and we were getting washed. Literally. But then something happened. Halfway through a hunt, somebody's connection cut out, and I was left with the beast. Alone. I fought hard, but ultimately lost. While that was happening, something clicked. I was remembering patterns far better than before, and before you know it, I'm breaking parts. on my own. Mizu, being the gent he is, alerted me to pretty much every cue I'd ever need. If he was angry, his plumage would start turning red. Oh, his plumage is blue. That means he's tired. And with that, it wouldn't be long until my mentor, Mizu, would fall. It's completely true what they say. Making the jump from understanding a fight to mastering it is the best part of Monster Hunter. The speed of my dual blades matched only by Mizu's sheer maneuverability. I had learned the heart of the dual blades and what it meant to undergo the dance. To know that both you and your opponent physically know exactly how to register and respond to each other's movements. All of these core teachings through Mizutsune. Today, I am a hunter, and I am thanks to Mizu, my beloved little water fox. Thank you. And now, ladies and gentlemen, before we get to the rest of the flagships, I would like to present one of, if not the selection of monsters that stand out the most when talking about Gen 4. The Deviants. Well-loved monsters that have been injected with enough pure, concentrated methamphetamine that Walter Hartwell White looks like he's just been passing around crushed paracetamol with blue dye. Crystalbeard may look cool, but don't be fooled. No matter how much glitter you throw on it, a turd is still a turd. Haha, you flinched. Looks like I dodged it. Oh my god! Drilled Tusk Tetsu is the world's biggest fan of The Rock, and no one can tell me otherwise. Okay, look, I know I already did the Fitness Gram Pacer Test joke, but believe me, it applies.
你好吗？今天我要扩宽你的臀部，准备好了吗？
This guy's going to mess up your controller so bad, you could have sworn that you're playing your Nintendo Switch game with the Power Glove after 2 minutes. For a deviant, he's still just a crab, and crabs just aren't scary. I stand corrected. Dread Queen is an artist, and the world is her canvas. Trouble is, she only has one color, and it's poison. Dread King makes Oppenheimer look like Barbie. So, Silverwind has the fucking Speed Force? Yeah, that's a slight issue. So, we've already established that Zenoga is just Zeus's little thunder puppy. Therefore, Thunder Lord is the God of War equivalent of the Thunder Puppy. Elder Frost sports an 8 on the Richter scale simply by getting up in the morning. Bolt Reaver has a lightsaber! Holy shit! I mean, they gave it to normal Astalos as well, but... still! The Soul Seer is blind, which makes hearing your screams that much more satisfying. Hellblade Glavenus is everything you'd assume an anime would be, in the best way possible. This isn't just a deviant. It's a flagship, a steamroller, and a literal demon all in one. And now we return to your regular presentation. Its official title is Seregios, but his friends call him Steve. He's a wyvern with a big case of the zoomies, and holds one of the best skills in the series, but for some reason has never received the same amount of love as the other flagships, which is sad when you compare it to his predecessor. Who is Steve's predecessor? Why, it's none other than Gore Magala. Yes, this is what we mean when we say, "We love Gore!" No need to act so nervous around us now. Gore is the first stage of the Magala family, so let's simplify the name slightly, okay? Meet Greg Mongolia, the flagship so popular that people love him more than his G-rank successor.
In his own game.
Greg spends most of his days both without sight and without classification, but has solutions for both of those problems. It spreads scales around, which act as breadcrumbs to help understand its environment. Except breadcrumbs don't typically release pheromones that accidentally start literal zombie plagues, but hey, you know, to each their own. Hey.
Hey.
Did you know that Greg Mongolia molts? Well, it's not quite as surprising the second time, but yeah, they molt and become the Elder Dragon Shigaru Magala, or Shaggy. Shaggy is a beast, finally utilizing all of its epic skills and masters the aforementioned pathogen, the Frenzy Virus. Shaggy is a titan among elders that doesn't just ask for respect, it fucking demands it. Or, like its title, Heaven's Wheel. It will turn and twist you into shapes you probably weren't meant to go. Not too dissimilar to the last family member, the chaotic Gormagala. Yes, this is what we mean when we say,
We love chaotic gore.
Please, Mum, put the knife down. I promise. It's okay. It's okay. I promise. These are the results of young siblings who were being a bit shitty, so Shaggy said, right, I can see that you're going to become an asshole when you grow up, so I'm just going to abort you. Yes, that's right, when Greg evolves into Shaggy, the scales emit a new kind of pheromone, which screws up the evolution cycle of other Gregs, thus creating quite possibly the saddest fight in the whole series.
Mad Lad Mongolia.
Possessing qualities from both the previous family members, Mad Lad has one eye that never really fully developed, so he's more or less blind, and all of Shaggy's raw strength, mixed in with a lifetime of pain and suffering. This is what it means to be a failure. Darren Moran is the sand narwhal I mistook Jen for earlier, which, I mean, yeah, this is epic. This is epic. But why make another one when both Jen and its subspecies were available? Just a thought. Orochi Kirin are elder dragons that grow mastery over the powers of ice and snow, instead of pure lightning, which is cool. You know, I know I wouldn't want to be a walking, neighing AA battery for Donkey Kong either. Nak the Nakarkus is a giant bone dragon that looks gorgeous, don't you agree? Alright, look, for those who are seeing this for the first time, I'm going to ask a very weird question. Where is the dragon? Just randomly, shot in the dark. If your answer is right here, then congrats! You're right. Nakarkus is actually a giant cephalod who uses the bones to scare off its predator Cetus, which is badass and sad, because this is the closest we've gotten to a Hydra so far in this series. This is Dalmadur, a giant snake that makes Narjala look like a candy worm. But the joke's on Narjala still, because this is an elder dragon, so that makes Narjala forever alone. Oh my Gog! Marzios is a giant elder dragon covered in oil. He is constantly on the hunt for gunpowder, and as you can imagine, not a lot of people are brave enough to say no. Or anything, as a matter of fact, because, you know, he's probably already stepped on you by that time. Still, a true titan of a monster and a glorious battle. This is not just an elder dragon. It's not just a flagship. It's a rocket who has mastered the air and is the only species of dragon who has touched the edge of the Earth's atmosphere. Specifically, with the intent of using itself as a missile to strike you down. Tell me this isn't cool. I dare you. The final boss of this generation must be so cool if it has to stand up next to... What the fuck is even that? What the fuck is even that? Yep, this is Atalkar, the world's first mantis to pilot a Gundam. If you had any expectations as to how this gen was going to end, I promise you, Atalkar will do its best to shatter them. These are not monsters. The wiki lied to you. These are not monsters. They are good boys. Best boys even. Now, I know all these burbs serve a different purpose, but they are more or less different flavors of seagull. Apart from this one, who's just a small flying taxi. The gang wars from Gen 2 raged on for over a decade. But ultimately, the Gajalaga won.
Big fish.
Pachyrhinosaurans deserve way more credit than they already get. Like, imagine, instead of using your head to solve a problem, you use your head. That's right, a third cat tribe exists. God save us all. What they look like. Adorable. What they do. Holy shit! These foxes are adorable. And they know it. They know you want to hug them and will actively beat you to the punchline, no matter what you're doing. Now look, I'm sure they're probably annoying, but you can't actually expect me to take something seriously when it looks so derpy. I love these sentient grenades, and I always will.
Great boggy when?
This is a Jagras. This is a great Jagras. And this is the greatest Jagras. And this is the ultimate Jagras. And this is my lunch. It's a big muddy fish that reminds me of something evil. But hey, I'm sure it's just my imagination. Okay, now this is definitely my imagination. This is the kind of monster I want to be. Constantly surrounded by snow. Gyros are very cool cobra-like pack hunters, and never mind, I fucking hate them. I love flying squirrels. In fact, just all squirrels. So Toby Kadachi and its badass-looking cousin get an instant tick in my book. We stand monsters that actively use their environment in battle. I love the way that Clifford the big red dog looks, behaves, also the way it sounds. But I can't ignore the fact that this good boy gets bullied by fucking gyros. That's just too funny. Okay, maybe I can ignore it. Yep, that's right, we got werewolves. Big, grisly werewolves that will be very pettable in Stories 3, I can already tell. Oh, yeah, they're also fucking terrifying. This is Sizzy. And that was Sizzy. Puke Puke is easily one of the most unique designs for a creature I've ever seen. Big, bright green plumage, and also sports a Thanos chin. And totally doesn't have a piss sack cousin who pees on you. Izuchi has always given me single Karen mother driving her kids to baseball, and my brain won't explain why. A Tetranodon? A fat Tetranodon? Perry the fat Tetranodon! Terry! Lord Shen is the first monster to cart me. He is a graceful and distinguished gentleman, and I'm actually surprised that more people aren't a fan. Somna's whole siren theme is very cool, and the only monster I can stand using the sleep element, because, well, it just fits so well. I mean, it's so perfect, anything else would be practically pointless. Bisha 10? More like bitch a 10, because this monkey is an absolute jack of all trades. He spin, he jump, he throw, poison, paralysis, and flashbangs, all while either balancing on his tail or hanging off a wall. And he has a subspecies called Blood Orange Bisha 10.
Bob.
He's called Bob. Are you joking me? Oh, first card in Sunbreak. Now I know what you're thinking. Is this just a fiery / electric T-Rex? Yes, this is, and what are you going to do about it? Garangolm is a big badass monkey who throws and beats the shit out of you with fire, water, and blast blight. Take a guess what element his weapons do. Guess.
Fucking none.
Legiana is a majestic-looking burb that I enjoyed setting fire to in stories. Yeah, I said it. Plus, obligatory shrieking leg joke. Gotharag is a beast in combat. The literal Limb Reaper and the only monster who can go toe-to-toe with me with his own dual blades.
But he forgets.
You should never bring a knife to a gunfight. Frostfang is an unexpected yet delightful surprise. I'm just happy I'm not in a position to get double pounced. Acidic is an unexpected yet mixed surprise, from what I hear. But yeah, he is definitely still a longsword main. Violet Mizitsune is different in the way that instead of bubbles, it exudes petrol, which in this economy should basically be considered an infinite money glitch. Also, he has a fucking spirit bomb! If you asked me what monster I looked forward to the most before Rise, my second answer would be Almudron. Giant mud fortresses, sick-looking armor, what's not to love? Okay, yeah, I've been on shaky ground with Almudron, but after 3 years, and enjoying his subspecies, I may be willing to go back and forgive him. Maybe. Ragnar Kadaki is a Pixar mom who was introduced far too late into Rise's base game. Like, how can you be the urgent quest right before what was considered the final boss for a few updates, when Rajang was right there? Also, Pyre exists. She's cool. Actually, I think they're both pretty cool. Paolumu has arrived to distract you from the big, nasty spiders. Here, take a nap on its large, inflatable neck. Oh look, here's Nightshade Paolumu to help you sleep. Okay, so what if we took Uragan and gave him a giant boner? Meet the B-52 Basil Geese! My transition into the not 1, not 2, but 3, technically 4, invaders of Gen 5. They live everywhere. They fear nothing, and they are all big! Basil Geese and its subspecies, the Seething Basil, hatch and live out their lives with the one goal in mind: to hunt you down and show you the difference between gunpowder and napalm. But why bother with all that boomer nonsense when you can be Barbaro, the monster hunter Morrow who probably shouldn't be able to leave its home, but can anyway because fuck you, get rammed, bitch. No, your eyes are not deceiving you. This is a new Valstrax. Not just any Valstrax, but the Crimson Glow. What's the difference? Is it the fact that it's an invader? Nope, normal Valstrax are too. I just didn't mention it. Crimson Glow are Valstrax who have literally gotten so high off their own supply, they have gone stark, raving bonkers. But don't worry, that won't stop them from exercising their God-given right to erase you from the face of the planet. Leshen is a being who should have been erased from the face of the planet. Especially considering it doesn't actually belong on this planet. This is a crossover event that has driven some individuals clinically insane. God knows I would if this happened to me. But hey, at least it's just Leshen. Oh dear, Aerith on a sword. DPS check. Terminology. A DPS check is a boss with a specific mechanic that relies on the raid group as a whole outputting a specific amount of damage or greater within a time limit. Basically, get ready to beat this thing or become a shadow on the wall. Valhazak is the perfect analogy for chronically online Mongo-Mongoloids. Valhazak is a decrepit elder dragon that looks like it's rotting, but no, it's just an aesthetic. Can't say the same for literally everything else around it, mind you. So, Ginger, I hear you say. Does it ever get fed up of living like this? To which I say yes. It does, and often goes out on little excursions where its chronic Twitter use turns into an aura of corruption, tainting everything else around it. Basically what I'm saying is this thing needs to be killed with fire. Namiel is a very unique dragon who can only be described as Poseidon's cool pet. And much like Poseidon, it is ruthless, and literally vibe checks you out of existence if you're not careful. All that glitters is not gold. Sometimes it is, and sometimes it is far worse. Before we move on, we have to talk about our cool new flashy gangs. The Apexes and the Risens. In one camp we've got monsters who got blown so hard by a storm, they turned into deviants. And elder dragons who were so mildly inconvenienced by small flying leeches one day, they decided to destroy the world. This is the last thing you see before getting juggled to death. She wanted to be Dread Queen so bad, she forgot the artist tangent and just went straight for poison. So we heard you like bullet hells and super strong moves with no startup frames whatsoever. This is what you get when you buy Oppenheimer on a pirate movie website. It's not as bad as it looks in the trailers. Words said before we both get traumatized. Hot take here, but I like Apex Zenoga more than Thunderlord. I have not fought Thunderlord, but at least Apex Zenoga got his revenge against Amatsu. I didn't actually show up for the direct where Risens were announced, and honestly, I thought this for a hot minute was going to be a fart Chameleos. Giant fart tornado! Man, what a beautiful day here in good old Hiroshima. The day being the 6th of August, 1945. Crimson doesn't airstrike you anymore. Sorry, what it's meant to say was, he doesn't just airstrike you anymore. He also carpet bombs you beforehand. So this is what power looks like. Simply divine. And now, back to you. Nergigante is an Elder Dragon flagship with a big appetite, and it does not care what it puts in, as long as it was previously alive. Now, I know what you're thinking. That's just kinda silly. It's not like he can eat Elder Dragons, yep. Yes, he can. Don't you dare try and tell him he can't. He tries to eat a Zora Magdaros in the story, a life form so goddamn boring it's not even worth its own segment. but I promise you, they do eat elder dragons. Magnamarlo is a samurai tiger, and my first ever flagship. He has a big appetite, and he does not care what he puts in there as long as it was previously alive. Now, I know what you're thinking. Surely that's just kinda silly. It's not like he can eat elder dragons. Well, you'd be right, but he does try his best. He's a honey badger with heart, and I got to respect that. Plus, he gets even stronger the fewer bitches he gets. Just like a fair few of you. Very EP. Very EP. Very angry, very angry! Espinus and its orange subspecies are terrifying creatures. Heavily armored, extremely fast, deals 3 different blights at once. What is this? Quite simple. It's a dinosaur. A relic of a bygone era, back with a vengeance. And will not rest until its deed is done. Okay, maybe it'll rest a little bit. Velkana is the gorgeous Ice Queen, and my dog, who just like Steve is a certified goat. However, much like Steve, does not get anywhere near as much attention as she deserves. But, she's only like 4 years old, so time will tell. This is a gown goat. It is small and fluffy. Oh my god! Malzeno is the new flagship on the block. The vampire warlock who destroys kingdoms, takes names, takes bitches, and will eventually consume mankind, and restore truth to the world. After all, what is a man if not a miserable pile of secrets? Ibushi is me as a dragon. Derpy, incredibly loyal to my girlfriend, and at times I've been told mildly disturbing. Nawa, on the other hand, is nothing like my girlfriend. She's a stuck-up bitch who has all the great makings of a toilet roll, and the redeemable qualities of a rat's anus. When people say they like Nawa's fight, is when they bring up the All-Mother, the angry, gregnant, hormonal storm who will smite you with every Dragonator from her bedside cabinet, before she ever lets you, any Elder Dragon, or even Magna James Marlowe anywhere near her eggs. Xeno'jiva is baby. That's right, your final task is to kill a child, before it turns into a demigod. Safi Jiva is a dragon that actually gives back to the land it calls home, creating territory with sustainable life, and can even square up to a Latrion, with all the strength of a shooting star. Oh mighty rock, what a beautiful singing voice you have. May we have the honor of putting a face to the name. Oh dear god, kill it, kill it, oh dear fuck, kill it now! Oh. Thanks. Told you no Gigante eat elder dragons. But this is not an elder dragon. This is the archdemon of the Abyss. A being so incredibly powerful, its feats include being beaten by Malzeno, and digging straight up, accidentally waterboarding itself. No, I am not making this up, or abridging this in any way. The fight I saved for last is definitely worth the wait. Meet the proud paladin, Primordial Malzeno, a non-morbed Malzeno who arrives to literally end an entire species and save the world. But you don't know that. And what ensues is nothing short of a clash of the titans. Two beings fighting for what they both know to be right, as evil finds room to creep into our hero's heart, eventually turning him into a true nightmare. A fight so balls to the walls that admittedly, it's been a full year and I haven't actually beaten him. But I know that with the help of the guild, my friends, and my own sheer incompetence, I can. No. I will beat him. So yeah. This is what I'm fighting in Monster Hunter. Thank you for asking. And thank you for watching.